Hello and welcome to the behind the song video for the final track from my EP Mixtape Volume 1. The song is called I Don't Know, and it's a song about the early stages of dating someone. It's kind of exciting, but you're not really sure where it's going and not sure what's going through their head. And you want to ask this person where they want to go with it because they're kind of sending you mixed messages. This song actually started with two separate ideas before I decided to work them into one complete song. The first thing that came was the production, and I just kind of had this idea for a chill verse, which I built up, and then I was just spent a while playing guitar, kind of soloing, doodling over the top of it, not really doing anything in particular. And then it just sat for a while on my hard drive, just sitting there not doing anything. And I then had an idea for a chorus one day when I was out. I made a quick voice memo on my phone. It's not particularly developed with barely any actual lyrics, but it had the I don't know from the start of the chorus, and then a bunch of mumbling afterwards to kind of give the general flow of the lyric and the melody. And it was only later that I then decided to put the two bits of it together to make a complete song out of it. I did a few drafts of the song by myself, and then I just brought it to Lauren to do the final touches on the lyrics, as that's something that she's really good at, and at that point the rest of the production was pretty much already in place. So the song starts off with this sax riff here, which is something that I knew I wanted in right from the start, but it was one of the last things to actually go into the production because I wanted it to fit around the rest of the production so it fitted in properly. It is a real sax recording, and I got a few different samples off Splice and used pitch correction to change the melody so there was something that fitted in with the song, something that I wanted, and fitted with everything else that was going on. So we've also got these guitars parts that come in between the two lines. This guitar part that comes in between the lines of the vocal, just to fill out the space. It's also double tracked and panned left and right. And then the sax that provides a little bit of a counter to the vocal melody. The vocal's quite dry, there's not a lot of reverb or delay on it compared to some of the other tracks that I've done. And then we've got backing vocals here that kind of accentuate certain lines in the song. The chorus has a fairly straight kick and snare pattern as well, but there is some syncopation brought in by this bass here, which is kind of like, it's kind of this vocal kind of sound. And again, it just provides a little bit of beat against the drums to mix it up a little bit, and you've got the hi-hats that come in to keep it moving. And we've also got this kind of second sustained bass note that fills out the sound, as well as a piano that comes in at the start, and an electric guitar here. The I Don't Knows each time are accented by a bunch of backing vocals, and then we've got the vocoder as well that brings in that blend of natural and electronic sounds that I like. And then again we've got that sax counter melody you just heard. As we come into the second verse, we've got back to this straight feel from the drums, and we've got guitar and sax like we did in the first verse. As we come into the second chorus, it's got a little bit more in it. We've got another bass instrument alongside the first two that's kind of this plucked sound, which adds a little bit more movement to it. The hi-hats also come in right at the start to have that movement in. We've got another guitar part here that kind of just these distorted power chords in arpeggios. And also all the regular backing vocals as we did before. The bridge is the emotional high point of the song, and that's reflected in the production. The drums do something a little bit different with the kick and snare. So this is where they kind of firstly differ, and we've got the hi-hats adding a little bit of syncopation along with the syncopated Vox upright bass, as I've called it. And we've also got a arpeggiated bass that's doing some eighth note patterns, just playing the root of each chord. We've got this guitar part here doubled that doubles the lead vocal just to accent it. And then at the end here it does something a little bit different, just a kind of a little bit of a solo interlude. We've also got this guitar part here that is doing this kind of high eighth note pattern, and this one's doing eighth notes that are a little bit more melodic. and the distorted guitar continues doing the power chords. We also have this synth here that starts off quite slow, and then the pace of it doubles as we get further through the bridge. My favourite part of this is actually this bit here where the vocal slides up on weight and still by the guitar. The way that those two bits work together, I just love it. The vocal is actually really distorted, and you can see that on this dial here on Decapitator. You can hear that as well if I solo that. That just kind of helps add to the kind of the angst and the emotion in that line. And then we come into this chorus here where everything just cuts back, and it's a little bit of a breakdown. It's kind of a little bit of a pause, time for the song to take a bit of a breath before we come into this last section that's much bigger again. The plucked synth from the bridge comes in, and it's doing this arpeggiated pattern this time, which pans from right to left across the stereo field and then back again. And we've got another couple of high guitar parts here, again doing eighth notes, and then in the last hook it just leaves the vocal standing on its own. As it's the last track on the EP, which has all this vintage tape kind of feel, the track finishes with this little tape click sound effect at the top here. If you've listened to the whole EP, you'll notice a similar click at the start of the first song, and these sort of bookend the project, imitating someone pressing play at the start of a tape when they start listening to it, and then stopping at the end when the tape's finished.